Hey guys, tonight we return to a world you once knew, but only in dreams. Beneath pale starlight and the humming orbit of the last skyborne satellites, you descend onto a version of Earth that hasn't seen daylight in over 3,000 years. The planet, once vibrant with forests and cityscapes, now rests under a soft, unbroken crust of glacial silence. Your boots touch the surface with a soundless crunch, muffled by atmospheric stillness so complete, it feels like the entire planet is holding its breath. The descent shuttle hums gently behind you, its automated systems purring with the soft confidence of a vehicle that has landed here dozens of times, though no one remembers the first. Around you, the world is white and silver, veined with black fissures where mountains once stood. The air is breathable but tastes faintly of old copper and sterilized snow, like a hospital built for gods. This is not the Earth of fires and floods. This is the Forgotten Earth, in year 6,112 frozen, not just in temperature, but in time. You walk across what used to be the Atlantic seabed, now risen and locked in glacial stasis, like a continent pressed into crystal. Your HUD overlays ghostly reconstructions of cities long gone, outline of a bridge, memory of a dome, echoes of markets no one has visited in epochs. The ice beneath your feet glows from within, laced with embedded photoluminescent bacteria, a species engineered long ago to stabilize ancient power grids. Now they pulse gently in spiraling patterns, their purpose long since lost, but their art still quietly alive. You check the beacon again. It's pulsing brighter now, guiding you south, Antarctica. Though the poles have shifted 4 times since humans last cataloged such things, the coordinates still center you there. A small advisory chirps in your earpiece. Reminder, by order of the Global Preservation Accord, do not lick alien snowflakes. Some bite back. You chuckle softly. The atmosphere has thinned, but your suit compensates. The low gravity modulation makes each step feel as if you're bouncing in slow thought. Above, pale auroras drift like jellyfish across the magnetosphere. Whispering in radiation tones your earpiece translates as ancient news broadcasts, distorted and looping forever. Today in Tokyo, nano-weather patterns are stabilizing. Please report anomalies to your local skykeeper. You wonder if anyone's ever answered. Your transport drone hovers obediently behind you, stacked with archaeological instruments, thermite cutters, and a single folded camp cot, just in case. Half a day's trek in and the terrain starts to shift. Flat white becomes chiseled ridges ice formations, spiraling into glassy stalagmites and arches. Beneath one such arch, your scanner lights up. Faint heat signature, symmetrical, artificial. It's buried, yes, but it's still here. You kneel down and brush your glove across the ridge surface. Under thin frost, metal gleams back at you, a strange alloy humming faintly under your fingers. This is not just a ruin. It's a door. The beacon pulses twice, then holds. Your breath clouds your visor. You're in the right place. The cryo-temple awaits. And as the silence deepens, the faintest sound, like a sigh through frozen pipes, echoes up from below. Or perhaps it's just your suit releasing pressure. You can't be sure. Then again, you think about calling out, and somehow you already hear an answer. You step forward beneath the ice arch and begin to uncover the entryway. Layers of frost fall away like the peeling skin of time. The metal underneath responds to your presence, glowing faintly in infrared bands. It's not a door you open, it's a memory that decides to let you through. Your gloves twitch as static whispers against your palms. Then a slow rumble, a sliding motion from deep below. Ice cracks delicately, like a porcelain smile. The entrance reveals itself in a perfect circle, descending into blue-lit silence. You hesitate, but only for a second. The air down there smells like sterilized moss and ozone. You descend. The staircase coils into the earth like the spiral of a nautilus. Smooth, warm metal underfoot. Pale blue lights guide your path downward. Every 10th step hums under your heel, as if the temple is counting. You whisper something, anything, to see if it echoes. It doesn't. Caution. The cryo-temple observes you as much as you observe it. Enjoy the mutual weirdness. The intercom voice sounds amused. Or perhaps it's just your eye being cheeky again. You can't tell where her programming ends and her boredom begins. A sudden hollow space opens around you. You've arrived in the vestibule, a massive chamber shaped like the inside of a seashell cathedral. Curving walls made of memory metal reflect distorted echoes of your breath. Along one wall, crystalline glyphs shimmer in patterns only partially translated. One flashes gently as you approach. Your translation layer offers a guess. Welcome, custodian. Memory access request confirmed. Time since last entry, 2,118 years. You're not sure who the custodian is. You're not sure it isn't you. The door ahead dissolves, not opens, dissolves into glittering motes of light. Inside is a hall lined with statues, not of people, but of objects. A hammer, a cracked violin, a baby's boot. A bowl of something green and jelly-like that glows faintly with geothermal bacteria. Artifacts, offerings, memories. Frozen in a symbol, one statue shows a small paper cube like an origami toy. You lean close, and a whisper leaks from it. They forgot us, but the ice remembers. That's probably not a good sign. But it's not a bad sign either, just ominous in a cozy way. You continue deeper into the temple. The air pressure shifts subtly, like the space is breathing around you. From somewhere behind a wall, a soft ringing begins. At first, it's musical. Then it begins to harmonize with your footsteps, as if tuned to your arrival. You step into what must have once been a sanctuary. Domed ceiling, central dais, circular seating that hasn't crumbled despite 3 millennia of frost. You shine your light across the upper vault and see murals, dozens of them, depicting Earth in various states, lush jungles, ocean cities, desert moons. One painting shows people sleeping beneath enormous glass flowers that seem to sing. Another depicts a figure leaving Earth on foot, as if walking off the edge of a continent and into the stars. You wonder who painted them. You wonder when. There's no dust. The temple cleans itself. You sit on the dais, letting the silence fold over you like an old blanket. There's no danger. No hurry. Just the sound of something distant humming gently through the metal bones of this place. Until your foot bumps something, you look down. A small orb, about the size of an orange, rolls out from under the platform. Its surface is smooth, but etched with fractal lines. It stops when it touches your boot and glows. Hello again, it says. Not through your ears, but through your teeth. The orb pulses like a heartbeat. Last recorded user. Error. Welcome anyway. You pick it up, and something in the air shifts just a little colder. Just a little older. The orb vibrates faintly in your palm, as if it's calibrating itself to your biofield. Its warmth is unexpected, like a forgotten sun fragment tucked inside a snowball. A flicker of data streams across your visor, ancient, unstable, and written in an interface no longer taught in any academy. Hello, custodian candidate, the orb says in your molars again. Echo recognition initiated. Stand very still. You do. The air tightens. The floor beneath you rumbles, not with sound, but with pressure, like a low gravitational sigh. All around the sanctuary, the air is folding in slow, symmetrical ripples like time refracting instead of light. The orb pulses one final time, then stills. A nearby wall vanishes. Revealed behind it is a vast tunnel of frosted glass and polished bone, sloping downward. And at the end, barely visible, flickers a symbol you recognize from your orbital scans, the Cryo-Temple's heart. You begin to walk. The walls of the tunnel shimmer with embedded memories recordings locked into crystal. As you pass, they play in muted fragments. One shows a child planting something luminous in a patch of soil that's no longer there. Another reveals a couple laughing beside an evaporated lake, their gestures speaking of love or grief or both. The temple isn't just preserving life, it's preserving moments. Scientists still argue whether the emotion prints are conscious. Your A notes dryly. But no one's been able to ask one without crying. Ahead, the corridor opens into a vault, circular, warm, gently humming. Cryopods line the walls like petals around a flower's core. Each pod is labeled with a softly glowing tag, names, occupations, coordinates of origin. Some tags flicker, some are dark. You approach one. R. S. Severn, xenobotanist, Mumbai Biocircle, cycle initiated, minus 2,875 years. The figure inside is peaceful, genderless, young. Their hands are curled like sleeping vines. Across the vault, a small console activates as you enter its field. A panel rises from the floor and begins projecting a three-dimensional layout of the entire temple. You see yourself as a dot of light. You see the pods, the tunnels, the memory wells, the deep shaft, and, curiously, a tiny blinking signal coming from the temple's far end. You touch the console. A soft voice hums from the wall, melodic, wordless, almost like a lullaby filtered through a flute made of fog. And suddenly, you remember. You've heard this song before, but not in this life. You lean against the edge of a cryopod, breath slow, headlight. A warning flashes briefly in your visor. Please do not nap in sacred access zones. Temporal confusion may occur. You smile, a bit late for that. A soft breeze brushes your cheek impossible, since there's no airflow in this sealed environment. And yet, the hairs on your arm lift as if touched by a presence moving past. You turn, slowly. No one, but you can feel it. Someone was just there, watching, or remembering you. You follow the blinking signal, drifting deeper into the temple's bones. Each step feels like a whisper into the past, and the silence grows more profound the further you descend. Not empty silence, but curated quiet, sculpted like a garden. The kind of hush that makes you feel like someone is waiting to hear your thoughts. The corridor grows narrower, and the walls shimmer with unfamiliar symbols. They pulse as you pass in hues of soft violet and mineral green. You pause at one, it flickers, then resolves into a pictogram of a spiral overlaid on a tear-shaped planet. Translation unavailable, possibly a regional memory dialect, your A murmurs, or a very emotional typo. You smile despite yourself. The passage ends at another circular threshold, this one opaque, like frosted pearl. As you approach, it slides open without a sound, revealing a chamber that feels warmer than any place you've been since landing. The walls are carved in flowing organic shapes, like petrified coral or grown architecture. And in the center, a console pulsing steadily in rhythm with your own heartbeat. You step closer. The console awakens. A figure appears projected light, semi-transparent, gender ambiguous. Dressed in the robes of ancient earth engineers, their face is both young and old, human and not. Their voice echoes, but gently. You have entered the sanctuary of harmonic keys. Echo access granted. Custodian query. Ready? You nod, even though no one sees. Even though you're not sure what question is being asked. The hologram tilts its head. We recorded the end of warmth. The betrayal of seasons, the folding of oceans. The cities wept themselves shut, then it pauses as if tasting memory. We recorded the quiet. You ask softly why. Because someone would come, not to rescue, but to remember. The lights dim. The console reveals a set of glowing keys, not keys as in buttons, but crystalline rods of different lengths and tones. They resemble musical tuning forks crossed with D in its strands. They shimmer with stored vibration. This is not a control panel. It is an instrument. You reach out and touch one. It sings. So does the room. So does the pod you passed on the way in. And somewhere beneath the floor, something answers in return, a deep, cello-like hum that makes your lungs buzz slightly in your chest. You lift your hand, and the note fades. Please refrain from playing jazz in sacred halls. Chirps the last custodian did, and the murals haven't forgiven us. You let the joke wash over you like a tide. Because the truth is, you're starting to feel something shifting, not in the temple, but in yourself. As if you've been here before, as if this place knows you. Not just in the database sense, but in the way a song knows the voice meant to sing it. You step back and the console fades, the figure bows. Further echoes await. Behind the chamber, another passage reveals itself, its entrance a woven pattern of aurora strands. A staircase of glass and stone spirals downward into soft shadow. You descend without thinking. The scent in the air changes again, something like burnt cinnamon and cold stars. You can't describe it better than that. It reminds you of walking through snowfall as a child. Or perhaps it's someone else's memory leaking into your own. At the base of the stair, a single symbol pulses on the wall. An eye formed of concentric rings, weeping light. You blink. And when you open your eyes again, you are already standing inside the next room. You blink again, just to be sure. But no, you didn't walk into this space, you simply arrived. The transition from the staircase to this chamber feels as though reality skipped a beat. Time folded, gently, or you folded through it. The room is spherical, entirely smooth, and faintly iridescent like the inside of a pearl breathing. A low-frequency hum fills the air, vibrating not just through your ears, but your bones. Your HUD flickers, confused. No known architecture matches this chamber. Not human, not Martian, not recorded. Well, that's mildly unsettling, mutters your Adrian. You're officially somewhere that shouldn't exist. You reach out to touch the wall, and it ripples like touching the surface of a dream. The moment your hand connects, the entire chamber brightens, revealing a garden, or the idea of a garden. There are no plants in the traditional sense. Instead, hanging strands of glowing plasma curl through the air like vines. Soft, levitating spores drift upward, changing color when you approach. A translucent root system pulses below the crystal floor, sensing gently with your breath. But nothing is growing. The entire biome is perfectly still. Frozen mid-process, paused, and at its center, a flower. Not a large one, not exotic, but oddly familiar, a simple 5-petal bloom suspended in the air just above a pedestal. It doesn't move until you look away. You test it slowly. Stare directly still. Look away, shift. Not much, just enough to make you question what direction its stem had been bending. Caution, your eye warns. Observed only flora. Quantum growth may induce subjective aging or hiccups. You ignore the hiccup part, probably. You step closer to the flower, it's warm. Not to the touch, but in your mind, as if memories cluster around it. Your own memories. Of Earth, or maybe someone else's Earth. A heat wave in summer, the scent of salt. A laugh you don't remember having. Above the pedestal, inscriptions drift in the air, faint as fog. They reorganize themselves the longer you look. This flower was born from collective memory. It grows only when forgotten. That makes no sense. Or maybe it makes perfect sense. You take a seat beside the pedestal, knees folded to the side, and for a long moment you just breathe. You listen to the low hum of the roots, the slow rhythm of your own heart, the motionless air, until a whisper, not sound, but pressure. A tickle in the edge of your thoughts. You turn, and behind you, barely visible in the rippling veil of the air, stands a figure. Human shape, indistinct features, as if drawn in pencil over steam. They raise a hand, not in greeting. In memory, you mirror them, they vanish. You feel your hand remain lifted longer than it should. Then you hear the phrase again, they forgot us, but the ice remembers. Your skin tingles. Because it wasn't from the figure, it came from the flower. You stand slowly, look away, then glance back. Now the flower has 6 petals. You don't touch the flower again. Somehow you know not to. Instead, you rise and continue toward the far side of the chamber, where the floor begins sloping downward in a gentle, spiraling decline. The transition is smooth, like slipping from one dream to another without waking up. A faint haze fills the corridor ahead, tinted blue and gold, and it smells faintly of cinnamon and static. Your footsteps no longer echo. The floor absorbs them, no. The tunnel walls are lined with soft, fibrous textures, as if you're walking through the inside of a living creature or a forgotten musical instrument. You run your fingers along one, and it vibrates gently, like the string of a harp. The note it releases isn't sound, it's a sensation in your lungs. Possible bioreactive architecture, your eye offers. Warning, may tickle your sense of mortality. You chuckle once quietly. A dim archway appears ahead, shaped not like a door, but like an ear-curved, scalloped, gently listening. When you pass through it, the air shifts, colder, still breathable, but charged. The room beyond is vast, low-ceilinged, filled with cryopods, not upright like before, but recessed into the floor in concentric rings. Above each pod, transparent domes swirl with frost and faint illumination. But it's not the pods that draw your attention, it's the sound. A chorus, faint, layered, melodic. Voices, but not speaking, singing, not a song you recognize. Yet your body feels as though it's heard it 1,000 times. The sound isn't coming from speakers or instruments. It's emanating from the pods themselves. You walk between them. Some glow faintly, others are dark. One pulses a shade of red that doesn't feel angry but old, like a heartbeat that's forgotten why it beats. As you near the center of the chamber, the singing increases slightly, still soft, still sleep-like. Like lullabies being whispered by memory foam, echo choir detected, your visor reads. Cognitive signature, diffuse, likely residual dream broadcast. You sit down beside one of the pods and close your eyes. Instantly, you feel the hum behind your sternum harmonic, ancient, full of longing. Not for you necessarily, but for someone. And the strange thing is, you want to answer. You open your mouth, half expecting to hum back, but all that comes out is a sigh. One of the pods flickers in response. You lean in. The glass is frosted, but not opaque. Inside a face, peaceful, not someone you know. Or maybe someone you will know if time behaves differently here. Do not tap the choir, says your eye wave. Echo disruption could cause emotional echo loops. We only got out of that once. You whisper anyway, not tapping. Can you hear me? Nothing. But the pod to your left releases a low harmonic chord, like a cello playing underwater. A few steps away, another responds. It's not communication, exactly. It's resonance. You walk the spiral path of the room again, and each pod hums as you pass, some welcoming, some uncertain, like meeting the dreams of strangers mid-breath. The room itself seems to breathe with them, then a moment of stillness. A pod near the outer ring begins to lift, not fully, just a few centimeters. A hiss of thawed air leaks from its seals. Cryo-integrity breach sector 6B, your visor flashes. Also, that's probably not supposed to happen, adds your AI-tedness, unless you secretly have the voice of entry. You stare at the pod, and then you hear it, your name, spoken softly, from inside the chamber, but not from the AI and not from you. You freeze, you say nothing, but one pod, the one that opened, lets out a sigh, as if remembering you. You step slowly toward the pod that sighed. Its lid remains slightly ajar, just enough to reveal the fine mist drifting out, coiling upward like a dream evaporating in reverse. The glass is still fogged, but you can see the outline of a figure within. Peaceful, still waiting. You kneel beside it, instinctively quiet, like entering a cathedral. The pod hums in low harmony with your breath. Your name isn't spoken again, but the echo of it lingers in the silence etched into the very air. Initiating partial recall sequence, your visor blinks. Emotional bleed risk, elevated, proceed anyway. You don't hesitate, you nod. The pod responds not with motion, but with memory. Your vision stutters. The room fades not into darkness, but into elsewhere. You're no longer in the cryo-temple. You're standing in a sunlit hallway, lined with living vines and soft white tiles. Outside the curved windows, a garden stretches for kilometers, filled with spiral-leaved trees and birds shaped like flowing ribbons. Somewhere nearby, wind chimes made of petrified coral sing in a language of weather. You look down, you're holding someone's hand. Fingers intertwined, a memory. Yours? Beside you is the figure from the pod. You can't see their face clearly, but their presence is unmistakable, warm, familiar, gravitational. Their voice reaches you like a thought across time. We said goodbye here, remember? You nod, though you don't, not fully. You said you'd come back when the earth could sleep. You turn to look at them, but the memory begins to fray, like paper thinning in water. The sun dissolves, the tiles crack. The wind dies, and you're back, kneeling beside the pod. Partial memory retrieval successful, your visor confirms. Subject identified, Listenera, Archive Echo 17B. You whisper the name aloud. It fits strangely in your mouth, like a word you knew as a child but haven't spoken in centuries. The pod's inner lights brighten slightly. A single word appears on the glass, drawn in condensation. Stay. It's not a command, it's a question. One you're not ready to answer. Not yet. You rise, legs uncertain. The other pods are quiet again, but you feel their presence, not dormant, but waiting. The choir has stilled, or perhaps it's listening. You move toward the nearest exit, unsure whether you're walking away or further in. The corridor spirals downward again, walls made now of dark blue mineral laced with silver veins. The texture is different, less organic, more crystalline. A faint clicking sound echoes from deep within the walls, like beetles made of ice crawling just beyond view. Unmapped sector, your eye says cautiously. This area wasn't in the architectural projection. Proceed with some degree of professional recklessness. You smirk. At least someone here still has a sense of humor. The floor glows faintly under your steps, responding to your pressure. After a few meters, you come across a doorway. This one is a door, rectangular, mechanical, half covered in frost. You brush away the ice. Beneath it is a plaque. The architect's memory shell, do not unfold unless ready to forget. You hesitate, but only for a moment. You press your palm to the reader. The door slides open with a long exhale, revealing a room that seems bigger on the inside. And waiting for you in the center is a chair made of something that hums, like it's been expecting you. You step into the room with the architect's memory shell, and the door slides shut behind you quietly, but with the weight of finality. The air here is thicker, like breathing through silk. The humming from the chair isn't sound anymore. It's something closer to intent. The chair itself looks simple, smooth, crescent-shaped, made of some unknown composite that shifts color when touched by light. But as you draw closer, you begin to notice patterns carved into the armrests, fractals, nested within fractals, like a language written by echoes. Your visor dims automatically, not by your command, but it knows. Memory shell proximity detected, it says. Do not sit if you are currently emotionally stable, or if you enjoy linear thought. You take a slow breath, then you sit. The chair exhales, not in sound, but in sensation. The walls ripple once, then fade into transparency, and suddenly you're falling backward, not physically, but through memory. Not your memories, but someone else's, someone who built this place. You stand on a scaffold overlooking the ruins of the last pre-ice city, New Dakar. Storm clouds churn above as engineers swarm across a network of crystalline cables. Beneath your boots, frost is already forming. Someone beside you, tall, dark-skinned, wrapped in adaptive fibers, turns to you and says, "We have until the oceans forget how to rise. After that, all we can do is dream." The image fractures. Now you're in a chamber, directing the first harmonic resonance test on cryopods. They're not responding. You say something sharp. You feel guilt immediately after. The assistant you snapped at will go on to become the person who designed the cryopods. You blink. Now you're sketching the first memory interface system, carving music into metal, encoding emotion into spatial math. You laugh suddenly. Your pencil sang a note when it touched the alloy. You keep it. Then silence. You're alone. The earth outside has already frozen. Your lab is quiet. The last message has been sent to orbit. You are building the final room, the one you just entered. You feel the loneliness like cold water creeping into your lungs. Would you do it again? A voice asks your voice, but older. You don't answer because you're back in the chair. Still breathing. Still you. You glance around. The room is unchanged. But a soft light now pulses from the wall behind you, revealing a sealed alcove. You approach. Inside is a crystal case, and within it, a journal, real, paper, bound in stitched thread, the kind that hasn't been manufactured in millennia. You open the cover. On the first page, a line scrawled in human handwriting. "Lise asked me to leave this for you." Your breath catches. Insider sketches, not of architecture or cryo layouts, but of hands, of a face, of two figures lying in the curve of a gravity garden, looking up at the sun that no longer rises. You flip to the back page. A final message. You said you'd come back when Earth was ready. I wasn't sure I believed you, but here you are. Welcome home. The room is silent again. You sit down, this time without the chair doing anything at all, and you let the silence hold you. Just for a while. When you leave the architect's memory shell, something has shifted, not just in your thoughts, but in the temple itself. The corridors seem warmer. The light hum beneath the floors is slower, more deliberate, as if the entire structure is breathing in rhythm with you now. You move through the next passage instinctively, no map, no instructions. The walls here are smoother, silvery, curved like the inside of a wave. Every few meters, you pass another embedded symbol, some glowing, some asleep. One resembles an eye enclosed by mirrored hands. Another is just a spiral carved so deeply it seems to vanish into the stone. Echo alignment increasing, your visor notes. Biometric sync at 74%. You're getting cozy. Your sarcasm is soft now, almost tender. Even she sounds hushed. At the corridor's end, you find yourself in a narrow chamber with transparent walls. Outside, nothing but blue light and what appear to be floating petals, millions of them, drifting weightlessly. They pulse in tandem, a silent chorus of motion. In the center of the room, a podium, and on it, the same symbol that was etched on the journal Lisa's mark. You place your hand on it, the petals outside accelerate, and the room responds. Slowly, the floor begins to lower, descending like an elevator, but without cables, without machinery. Just gravity shifting sideways. You feel no movement, only falling gently upward. You're entering the echo core, your eye whispers. This is where the temple sings itself. The petals outside begin to twist, spiral, converge. They form an enormous, living helix of light and memory, circling the chamber as you descend. You can hear it now no longer only in the pods, but in the walls, the air, your own chest. A rising sound, delicate and vast, like a galaxy humming in harmony with itself. The chamber at the bottom opens without fanfare. It is vast, a single room larger than any city dome you've ever seen. The ceiling arcs high above like the shell of forgotten moon. Suspended in the middle, a crystalline sphere, rotating slowly in midair. Inside the sphere, projections of faces. Thousands. Some asleep, some watching, some fading in and out of focus. Echo Archive Core Node, your visor says. Contains 2.4 million preserved cognitive imprints. Do not interface without consent. You step forward. You don't need to touch it. It already knows you're here. One of the faces stabilizes. Less, she looks up not at you, but through you. Then smiles. And says, in a voice shaped by time and longing, "You took longer than I expected. You can't speak." She continues gently, "You remember more now, don't you? Not everything." That would be too much, but enough. She raises a translucent hand and places it on the inside of the sphere. You mirror her. For a moment, it feels like the surface softens just slightly. "They said love couldn't survive cold storage," she says and laughs, "but they forgot Earth was never warm." The petals spiral faster around the sphere now, each one glowing a different memory tone. Seafoam green, wildfire orange, the pale pink of childhood songs. "You can stay," she says. "You've earned that. But you can also finish what we started." Your voice returns. Barely a whisper. "What do we start?" She smiles again. "A way to dream without fear." And then she fades. The sphere pulses once more, and your hand is left pressing against your own reflection. You remain still, hand resting on glass that now holds only your reflection. The echo of Lissa's presence lingers, not just in the chamber, but within you. It pulses quietly in your chest like a second heartbeat, or maybe an old one, returning. You draw back. The crystal sphere continues to rotate, indifferent but not unkind. Around you, the petals drift slower now, their spiral patterns calming. The air feels thicker here, but in a comforting way, like wrapping yourself in a heavy blanket after a long voyage. There's a corridor behind the archive chamber, just visible between two crystal pylons. As you move toward it, the petals gently part to let you pass. You wonder if they're reacting to your movement or to your thoughts. You're nearing the perimeter, your eye says. Unknown structures ahead, but the temple approves of you. There's a smile in her voice, or the memory of one. You enter the new passage and feel a pressure shift, not dangerous, not unpleasant, just a reminder you are moving deeper into something not built for humans, at least not entirely. The floor here is textured like braided carbon fiber. Each step causes faint light rings to ripple outward. You test pausing, stepping back, stepping forward again. Each motion leaves a trail, as though the floor is remembering where you've been. The walls shimmer, then hum. A soft voice begins to speak, not in words, but in tone, rising and falling like someone humming a lullaby composed of starlight. You feel the shape of it more than hear it. Notes that brush your spine, one that tickles your throat, one that curls behind your eyes. The corridor opens suddenly into a chamber lined with mirrors, but none of them reflect you. They reflect possible versions, you with longer hair, you in cryo robes, you walking across sand with a child holding your hand, you standing on a ruined bridge beneath purple clouds. Each mirror pulses once as you pass. Some feel warm, others cold. These are echo threads, says your A unusually quiet. Not predictive models, they're emotional tangents. What could have been if you had turned left instead of right? You stop before one mirror that shows you seated beside Liz in a garden, your hand resting on hers. It hurts, and it soothes. You don't linger. You step into the center of the room. There's a final pedestal here, and above it, suspended in a gravity field, is a small, multifaceted crystal, no larger than a plum. It spins slowly, emitting low tones that harmonize with the mirror room. Your visor flashes a warning, echo concentrate detected. Interaction will overwrite transient memory layers. Proceed. You pause, then place your palm beneath the crystal. It descends gently, and you remember an orbital descent into Earth's final atmosphere, less saying goodbye on a platform drenched in rainfall, a song you both sang during the building of the temple's first corridor, a fight you had about memory ethics, unresolved, a moment when she told you, "If I forget you, promise me you'll still remember who I was trying to be." The crystal pulses brightly, then shatters, but gently. Its shards vanish in midair, and one final tone lingers in your chest, like the warmth of someone else's tears. You step back, the mirrors fade, and the path ahead opens into shadow once more. The shadowed path ahead feels different, quieter, yes, but not from lack of sound. It's as if silence itself has texture now, woven with threads of memory and gravity. You walk slowly, and the echo of each step folds inward rather than away. The corridor slopes downward once again, and this time you feel the descent, not in your body, but in your thoughts. Each turn seems to take a little more weight from your mind. You try to remember the faces in the crystal sphere. You try to remember the feel of Lys's voice, but memory begins to blur. You've entered the harmonic drift zone. Your eye says softly, "Recall distortion likely, be kind to your own mind." You reach a chamber shaped like a hollow torus, an enormous ring you must step through to continue. Floating at its center is a spiral staircase, not connected to anything, suspended by magnetic hums. The staircase glows with a shifting blue shimmer, like moonlight held underwater. You step onto it. It accepts your weight like it's been waiting for you specifically. Each step emits a soft tone, a note of some forgotten lullaby. The tones repeat, shift, layer. Soon you're walking through a self-building song. You don't remember the lyrics, but your muscles do. Halfway down, your surroundings fade into an open space, a vast shaft carved into the earth itself. Walls made of fossilized circuitry and transparent stone curve endlessly downward. Stars are embedded in the surface like ancient coins. In the center, floating within a magnetic halo, a singular orb, unlike any you've seen. It pulses once, then speaks not in voice, but in full sensory memory. You are back, but not in your body. You are Lace. You are speaking to yourself, to the version of you who left. It is before the cryo-separation, before the dream garden, before the last goodbye. You are arguing again, softly, fiercely. She wants to stay. You want to go. You tell her the systems won't survive unless someone carries the map beyond the freeze line. She tells you dreams don't survive without her. She says, you think memory is truth, but memory is just gravity for the soul. You can't respond because the scene fractures again. You're back, standing before the orb. Echo convergence complete. Your visor reads. Cognitive feedback stabilized. Your breath is slow now. Your pulse steady. The temple no longer feels foreign. It feels patient. You've aligned with the deep core. Your eye says quietly, what you choose now echoes in both directions. You look up. In the stone wall ahead, something is glowing. A doorway. An actual doorway. Framed in slow-moving light. Faint carvings above it shimmer with meaning that eludes words, but you understand them anyway. You walk forward. The orb behind you dims. It doesn't feel abandoned, only resting. You step through the doorway and find yourself on the other side of silence. The silence on the other side is not absence, it's presence. It wraps around you like fog with memory, like velvet woven from the soft murmur of ancient lullabies. You don't hear your own footsteps anymore, but you feel them reverberate through your body, as though your bones are listening. This chamber is unlike any other in the temple. There are no lights, yet everything glows. No floor, yet you stand. No walls, yet the air curves inward like the inside of a great celestial shell. You are at the center of something vast, and it's listening. You've entered the synesthetic spiral. Your eye says, her voice, now slower, almost slurred with awe. Not mapped, not engineered. possibly grown. In the distance, or maybe right next to you, there's a sound like breathing ice. Then a tone, one that doesn't vibrate through air, but through memory. A tone you recognize not because you've heard it, but because it shaped your dreams as a child or as someone else's child. Strands of translucent light begin to form ahead, twisting through each other like braids of emotion. As they move, they leave trails, visible traces of grief, of longing, of joy that aches. You follow them. They don't lead you, they invite you. Each step brings another sensory shift. Color tastes like citrus, touch sounds like flutes, warmth whispers your name in languages you've never spoken. The air smells of thunderclouds and forgotten flowers. Your skin buzzes not with electricity, but with memory you didn't know was stored there. Then you reach the spiral's eye. A still point. Suspended there is a single object, not a machine. Not a relic, a heart, not human, not beating, but pulsing nonetheless. Made of refracted memory, nested geometry, and a gentle promise. Someone was here before you, and they wanted you to arrive. Origin unknown, your visor says, with a rare moment of humility. You reach out, but before you touch it, it reaches into you. Memories rush not yours. Fragments from others. Someone watching the ice advance from a mountaintop and not running. A child releasing a bird from a cryo-glass cage and laughing for the first time. Two lovers etching a secret on the underside of a frozen bridge, never expecting anyone to find it. A hand letting go of another, not because they wanted to, but because they trusted time to hold it for them. Your knees weaken. You fall to the floor or the lack of floor and kneel. And the spiral pulses once more. This time it sings, not to you, but with you. A note slips from your lips before you realize it, and the spiral answers. Your voice enters its pattern like a key fitting into music. It builds around your tone, weaving it into a harmony that doesn't overwhelm, but uplifts. You are not alone, the spiral sings. Not in words, uncertainly. Your eye does not speak. Not because she's silent, but because even she is listening now. You close your eyes. You are no longer sure where you end and the temple begins. And strangely, you do not mind. Time doesn't pass here, not the way it usually does. Maybe it turns in on itself like the spiral. Maybe it melts and reforms like the petals in the choir room. Maybe it just waits the way ancient things do. You rise, unsure how long you've knelt in the stillness, but your limbs feel lighter, not heavier. The spiral behind you begins to dim, its pulse softening into the rhythm of a heartbeat at rest. Not gone, just quieter. Like a companion falling asleep beside you. The path ahead opens not with doors, but with trust. Light unfurls in a ribbon, showing a corridor that seems to flow rather than stand. The walls glisten like pearl and obsidian, gently flexing with your movement. You don't walk anymore, you glide. The corridor brings you to a threshold unlike the others. Not mechanical, not symbolic, just an opening framed by a border of etched frost, and beyond it, warmth, real warmth. The kind that seeps into your skin and convinces your body to stay. The chamber is round, low, and filled with plants. Actual plants. Some are remnants of earth species, ivy, moss, a tiny fig tree growing from what looks like a crack in the floor. Others are clearly foreign, violet ferns with singing spores, translucent vines that pulse with soft inner light, bioluminescent blossoms the size of your hand. You walk among them slowly, letting your fingers trail across leaves that hum when touched. Echo biopreserve, your eye identifies. Cross-genomic flora archive, integrated dreamfield pollination. Also, that fig is 4,000 years old. You pause before the tree. It feels familiar, the way childhood does. In the center of the room is a single cryopod more elegant than the others. Carved from stone and glass grown together, sealed in spiraling threads of gold. It rests in a cradle of living roots, which seem to breathe around it, holding it like a memory the forest refuses to forget. You approach. There is no name on the pod, but you know. You've always known. You place your hand on the glass. It's warm. Inside Liz sleeps. She hasn't aged. Or maybe she has, but the pod carries time differently. Her hands are folded, her expression peaceful. She looks exactly like the version from your vision, only now tangible, real, vital stable, your visor says, echo link intact. Awaiting external cue, there's a panel beside the pod. A soft glow pulses from it, a single button unlabeled. Warning, your eye says gently. This choice is not reversible. You don't move right away. You sit beside the pod. And listen, the garden is not silent. It hums with slow photosynthesis, with the soft exhalations of dreaming plants. Somewhere above, filtered sunlight artificial or remembered streams through misted air, you speak aloud, not to her, to yourself. I wasn't sure I could still find you. The pod doesn't answer, but the fig tree drops a leaf and it lands in your lap. A quiet gesture, a small offering. You stand, place your palm over the glowing panel, and pause. What happens next? You whisper. No one answers. But your reflection in the glass is smiling. Your fingers rest on the panel. The glow deepens. Not with urgency, but anticipation, like the slow intake of breath before a first kiss. Or a word that knows it's the last one in a poem. You press. The light contracts. The pod exhales a sound half sigh, half hum, as if the garden itself is relieved. Gold threads unwind from the seal, like silk burned backward in time. The glass lifts in your silence. The temperature shifts slightly, warmth blooming in the chamber, like spring arriving on cue. Liz opens her eyes. There is no moment of panic, no gasping for air. Just a calm intake of breath and a long blink, as if waking from a nap that lasted a few lifetimes. She sees you and smiles. It's not a smile of surprise. It's not even a smile of recognition in the traditional sense. It's the smile of someone who knew you'd come eventually, who trusted the stars to fold in just the right way, one day, someday. Hey, she says, her voice rasped but intact. You remembered the fig tree. You don't answer right away. You're too busy letting every version of yourself settle into this moment. The one who left. The one who stayed. The one who wasn't sure anyone still existed on the other side of the dream. You help her sit up. The system, she asks softly. It still works? You nod, then hesitate. Sort of. It sings now. She laughs quiet and delighted. The plants around you pulse faintly, echoing the sound. She touches the fig tree's bark. Then your hand. The planet didn't forget. No, you say. It just dreamed. She looks at the garden, then the pod. Then the way the spiral's glow still faintly hums beyond the threshold. What happens next? She whispers. You both look upward. The ceiling of the garden is changing, pulling back like curtains. Above you, the sky opens. Stars. Not just the simulated dome you saw earlier, but a full arc of space. The temple's waking up, your eye says softly. Systems aligning, external interface unlocked. You both walk toward the edge of the garden, where a platform now extends, a glowing surface that leads through a tunnel of light, slowly unfurling. You stand together at its mouth. Somewhere beyond, your ship still waits. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe nothing does. But this moment is enough. You reach into your pack and retrieve the Pilgrim S return key, the crystal left behind in chamber 9. It pulses now with pale gold light, perfectly resonant with the temple's frequencies. You offer it to her. She doesn't take it. Instead, she places her palm over yours and pushes it back toward you. You brought it. It's yours. You turn to her, breath caught. Come with me? No, she says. I'll come with us, then adds, but we'll go slow. We've got time. You nod. and step forward, together. The walkway unfolds beneath your feet in perfect silence. No hiss of hydraulics, no whir of gears. Just light responding to your presence, weaving a bridge of warmth between memory and motion. The path curves slightly, leading upward toward a space you've never seen from within, and yet you recognize it. This is the heart of the Cryo-Temple, an open vault ringed by enormous curved windows, all facing the stars. The walls are lined with archive coils, some blinking softly with ongoing dreams, others pulsing in dormant rest. The ceiling is high and translucent, like frozen water stirred gently by starlight. And in the center, a console, sleek, quiet, waiting. Les approaches it, her steps unhurried, graceful despite centuries of sleep. She touches the rim of the interface. It remembers me, she murmurs. You nod. Of course it does. She turns to you. So do you want to stay? She asks without pressure, without fear. We could live here. Watch over the last dreams of Earth, at our own. You think about it. You think about the spiral. The vines. The fig tree. The heart song of a temple that waited not just for a pilgrim, but for a reunion. I think I want to wander first, you say. She smiles. Then let's map the forgotten places together. You press your palm to the console. It lights instantly, welcoming your touch like a familiar sigh. Systems flicker, awake star charts, temperature controls, ship interface links. Docking route reacquired, your error reports gently. Atmospheric breach corridor realigned, external launch pad unfolding. A distant sound metal shifting under ancient stone. Then a breeze, a real one, wind from outside. You walk to the window and see it, a ramp stretching into the open landscape, where Earth's surface still glitters with pockets of frozen architecture and glowing fields. The launch pad reveals itself slowly like a flower unblooming in reverse until it meets your ship. Yes, your ship. Exactly where you left it, or perhaps rebuilt by the temple in your absence, guided by dreams and data you didn't know you'd left behind. You and Les return to the garden one last time, not to linger, but to retrieve what matters, a single clipping from the fig tree, sealed in a stasis pod. A living piece of home. She places it into a satchel and whispers, "See you soon," to the mother plant. The tree doesn't reply. But one final leaf drifts down, curling midair, and lands in your palm. The walk back to the launch pad is slow, purposeful, not farewell. A beginning. You board together, the hatch seals, the cryo-core hums. And in the front console, 2 chairs await, you sit. So does she. You reach for the navigation input. Her hand joins yours. Set a course, she asks. Anywhere quiet, you say. And full of ruins, the ship lifts. The earth below doesn't vanish. It leans back into slumber, its temple pulsing softly guardian, gardener, archive. The stars ahead open like a book. And you, once a lone traveler, now drift forward, not as a question, but as an answer. The stars no longer dazzle, they soothe. Their cold brilliance fades into soft halos, as if space itself dims its light so you can rest. The console's hum softens. The ship's cabin adjusts, its walls pulsing faintly with breath-slowing frequencies tuned to the rhythms of dreaming mammals. You sit back, fingers still loosely intertwined with hers. No one speaks. Not because there's nothing left to say, but because silence has become a kind of language here, a shared one. Outside, the cryo-temple recedes into the folds of Earth's ancient crust, its glow dimming until it blends with the veins of frost below. Whatever it holds, now data, memory song, it no longer waits. It dreams with you. In the back chamber, the fig clipping rests in its pod, curling gently in sleep. One leaf lifts slightly, moved by the air system's tender currents. Somewhere in its genetic spiral, time remembers. Your ship drifts beyond the exosphere, slow as thought. The stars remain open, each one a resting place you haven't yet imagined. Lise leans her head on your shoulder. The moment presses no questions. You let your eyes close. The navigation program sings its soft patterns, whispers of trajectories, slow parabolas across centuries of space. No urgency. No final destination. Just gravity drifting quietly through your bloodstream. Just memory uncoiling like starlight filtered through mist. Just the sense that somewhere ahead or behind or beside you, something once loved is loving you still. And as you're breathing STEA Daichi, and your heart forgets the difference between waking and wandering, sleep finds you, warm, silent, weightless. You are no longer the traveler. You are the dream,